The great chamber of Prime held representatives from 300 worlds. Beings of every shape and color filled the curved seats that rose in circles around the central stage. Some breathed oxygen, others methane. Some stood on legs, others floated in containment fields. But today, they all gathered for the same reason. 200 years had passed since humanity disappeared from the galaxy. Ambassador of the Empire stood at the central podium. His blue skin gleamed under the chamber lights as he raised his 4 arms in the traditional gesture of remembrance. The crowd fell silent. "We gather today to remember the humans," began. His voice carried through translation devices to every ear and sensory organ in the room. 2 centuries ago, they vanished from existence. Their Earth was destroyed in a stellar catastrophe. Their colonies went dark. Their ships were found drifting and empty. A hologram appeared above the podium, showing a blue and green world. Earth, as it once was, beautiful, alive. Then the image shifted to show a debris field, scattered remnants of what used to be a civilization. "We searched for survivors," continued. "We sent rescue teams to every corner of their territory. We found nothing but ruins and silence. Humanity became extinct before they could truly join us among the stars." Many in the audience lowered their heads or made their species equivalent gesture of respect. The humans had been young compared to most spacefaring races, but they had shown promise. Their loss had seemed a waste. "Let their fate remind us," said, "that even the most advanced technology cannot protect us from our own ambition. The humans reached too far, too fast. They tried to harness stellar forces they did not fully understand, and they paid the ultimate price." The memorial speech ended. The hologram faded. Life moved on, as it always did. The galaxy had mourned humanity briefly 200 years ago, then forgotten them in favor of more pressing matters. Today's more pressing matter sat in the chamber's War Council section. A representative, scaled and muscular, waited his turn to speak. They were reptilian, aggressive, and currently expanding their territory at an alarming rate. "The memorial is touching," the ambassador said when called upon. His name was, and his voice carried poorly hidden contempt. "But we have real concerns to address. The former human territories are unclaimed. My people have begun settling there, as is our right." A chorus of objections rose from the chamber. The representative, a being covered in soft purple chitin, stood up. "Settling is one thing, conquest is another. Your forces have attacked 12 colony worlds in the past month alone." "Those worlds refuse to acknowledge authority," replied with a wave of his clawed hand. "We gave them the option to submit peacefully. They chose poorly." "You call that peace?" Another voice joined in, this one from the Frontier Alliance. "We have reports of civilian casualties, forced labor, and systematic destruction of local governments." The debate grew heated. The pacifist coalition led by the demanded diplomatic intervention. The military faction wanted to send peacekeeping forces. The neutral parties tried to calm everyone down. Nothing was being resolved. Then the alarm started. Every screen in the chamber flashed red. Security officers rushed to their stations. The chamber's defensive shields activated with a low hum that vibrated through the floor. "Unknown vessels detected at system perimeter," the station's automated voice announced. "Multiple warp signatures. Pattern analysis indicates..." "Error. Pattern does not match any known configuration." Ambassador felt his blood run cold. Unknown ships appearing unannounced at Prime was either a terrible mistake or an act of war. "How many vessels?" he demanded. The security chief, a 6-legged being from 4, worked frantically at his console. "Sir, the number keeps increasing. First reading showed 30 ships. Now it's 70. Now 120. The main activated, showing the space at the edge of the system. Dark shapes emerged from the distortions of warp travel. They were massive, easily twice the size of standard Council warships. Their hulls were dark gray, covered in weapon emplacements and armor plating. They looked old in design but clearly functional, and there were so many of them. "Final count," the security chief said, his voice shaking slightly. 247 vessels, all armed, all maintaining formation." The chamber erupted in panic. Representatives shouted questions. Some demanded evacuation. Others called for the defense fleet to engage. The ambassador looked more excited than afraid. "Silence," commanded. "We need to identify these ships before we react." "Their warp signature is ancient," the security chief reported. It matches technology from 2 centuries ago, before the modern standard was adopted. 2 centuries ago, the same time humans disappeared, but that was impossible. Everyone knew humanity was extinct. The communications array crackled to life. Every screen in the chamber, every personal device, every piece of equipment capable of receiving a signal suddenly displayed the same image. A woman appeared. She looked human. Dark hair tied back in a military style, sharp eyes that carried the weight of command. She wore a uniform of deep blue with silver insignia on the shoulders. Behind her, other humans moved with purpose across what appeared to be a warship's bridge. "This is Admiral Kate of the United Earth Expeditionary Fleet," the woman said. Her voice was clear and steady. "We are transmitting to the Galactic Council on Prime. Humanity has returned. We request permission to approach and address the Council." For a long moment, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The entire chamber, filled with beings from 300 worlds, stood frozen in complete shock. Then chaos exploded. "Impossible," someone shouted. "Humans are extinct." "It's a trick," another voice claimed. "Someone is using their image." "Check the ship signatures again," a third demanded. But stared at the screen, at the woman who called herself an admiral, at the ships that floated at the system's edge like silent metal mountains. He had studied human history as part of his role. He had seen their old military records. Those ships, despite their age and modifications, bore the unmistakable design philosophy of human engineering. "This is not a trick," he said quietly, though his voice carried through the chamber's acoustics. "That is a human fleet." The ambassador snarled. "Then they survived their extinction. So what? 200 ships mean nothing. We have more." "You missed the point," replied, still staring at the screen. "They survived something that should have killed them all. They survived 2 centuries alone in the void, and they came back." He paused. "The question is why?" Admiral Kate still waited on the screen. Patient, professional. Behind her, her crew worked efficiently. They showed no fear, no uncertainty. They moved like soldiers who had faced worse than a suspicious council. "We should grant them audience," announced. "Send the permission for a delegation to approach. 3 ships only. They dock at the diplomatic bay under full security escort." "You cannot be serious," protested. "We know nothing about these survivors. They could be hostile, they could be diseased, they could be anything after 200 years. "They could also be our greatest allies," countered, "or our worst enemies. We won't know until we talk to them." He turned to face the chamber. "Humanity was declared extinct. The fact that they survived is either a miracle or a warning. I intend to find out which." The vote was called. Despite protests from the delegation and nervous objections from several smaller parties, the council agreed. Permission was granted. On the Admiral Kate nodded once. "Thank you, Council. We will send our diplomatic team immediately. Out." Commander Fletcher stood at attention in the docking bay as the human shuttle descended. Around him, security forces from a dozen species watched with weapons ready. They did not point them at the humans, not yet, but the message was clear. Any wrong move would be met with force. Had served on Prime for 15 years. He had seen countless diplomatic arrivals. None felt like this. The air itself seemed charged with tension and curiosity. Aliens whispered to each other in languages his translator could barely keep up with. Many stared at him like he was a ghost. The shuttle doors opened with a hiss of equalizing pressure. 4 humans stepped out. Admiral Kate came first. She moved with the confidence of someone who had commanded fleets through hell and survived. Her uniform was pristine, every detail perfect. Behind her came Captain Hayes, a broad-shouldered man with calculating eyes. Then Chief Science Officer Lisa Park, carrying a data case. Finally, Cultural Liaison Tours, who smiled politely at the gathered crowd despite the hostile stares. "Admiral," said, saluting, "welcome to Prime. I am Commander Fletcher, assigned to escort you to the council chamber." Kate returned the salute. "Thank you, Commander. Lead the way." As they walked through the station corridors, noticed how the other humans carried themselves. They did not look around nervously like most first-time visitors. They did not seem overwhelmed by the massive station or the hundreds of alien species they passed. They walked like soldiers on familiar ground, alert but not afraid. The corridors were packed. News of humanity's return had spread through the station faster than a plasma fire. Beings pressed against the walls to watch the humans pass. Some reached out tentacles or appendages, trying to touch them as if to confirm they were real. Security kept the crowds back. They thought we were dead, Tors observed quietly. They were supposed to think that, Hayes replied. Heard the exchange but said nothing. His job was to escort, not to interrogate, though he had 1,000 questions burning in his mind. The council chamber had been cleared of the earlier crowd. Only the core members remained, about 50 representatives from the major powers. Ambassador stood at the central podium, his 4 arms spread in greeting. Admiral said, "On behalf of the Galactic Council, I welcome you, though I confess we are surprised by your presence." Kate stepped forward to address the assembly. "Ambassador, honored council members, I understand your surprise. 200 years ago, humanity disappeared from your records. You believed us extinct. That belief was not entirely wrong." A hologram activated, showing images as Kate spoke. Earth burning, the planet breaking apart as stellar forces tore it to pieces. Earth was destroyed, Kate continued. The stellar engineering project failed catastrophically. 90% of humanity died in the disaster or in the immediate aftermath. Our remaining colonies were evacuated or fell to chaos. From the galaxy's perspective, we were gone. "But you survived," said. "It was not a question." "A portion of humanity survived." Lisa Park stepped forward, her voice carrying scientific precision. 30 years before the disaster, a group of human leaders predicted we had expanded too fast, relied too heavily on one world. They organized a project. Generation ships, vessels designed to carry thousands of people beyond known space to establish independent colonies. The hologram changed, showing massive arc ships departing from Earth's orbit. They looked different from the warships outside, sleeker and more utilitarian. 7 generation ships left over a 20-year period, Lisa continued. When Earth died, those ships were already far beyond council space. They received the distress signals, they knew what happened, and they kept going because turning back meant death. There was nothing to return to. "Where did you go?" someone asked from the council seats. Lisa activated another image, a star cluster isolated and distant. "Region designate Echo Theta, 70 light-years beyond the outer rim. We found a cluster of 32 star systems. 19 had planets capable of supporting human life, capable but not comfortable." The images showed harsh worlds. One had gravity twice Earth's standard. Another endured storms that could strip metal from bone. A third was covered in predators that made Earth's deadliest animals look gentle. "These worlds were hell," Tors said bluntly. "The first generation died in droves, diseases we had never encountered, predators we were not prepared for, environmental conditions that pushed human physiology to the breaking point." "Why not return?" asked. "Why not seek help from the council?" Kate's expression hardened. "Because we sent distress signals. For 10 years after Earth's destruction, we broadcast on every frequency. We begged for rescue, for aid, for any response." She paused. "We received silence. The galaxy had moved on. We were already forgotten." The chamber went quiet. Several council members looked uncomfortable. The representative, the one who had argued for pacifism earlier, spoke softly. "We searched for survivors. We found no one." "You searched the known territories," Hayes said. "You searched where humans had been, not where we had gone, and when you found nothing, you stopped looking." "So we adapted," Kate took over again. "The second generation was born on those harsh worlds. They grew up knowing nothing but struggle. High gravity made them stronger. Thin atmospheres made their lungs more efficient. Constant danger made them better fighters. And we taught them, passed down everything we knew about technology, warfare, survival." "You militarized your entire society," the ambassador accused. "We survived," Kate corrected. "We built cities underground on the high-gravity worlds. We engineered crops that could grow in toxic soil. We developed weapons to fight predators that mass 3 tons and have armor-plated skin. Yes, we became warriors, because warriors live and pacifists die on death worlds." Lisa Park brought up technical data. "We also advanced. Without the Council's technology standards, we developed our own solutions. Our ships use hybrid drives that combine old human warp theory with new innovations born from necessity. Our weapons were designed to stop creatures that could shrug off conventional arms. Our shields were built to withstand environmental hazards that would destroy normal vessels. For 200 years, we grew stronger in isolation," Tors added. "We built a civilization of 7 colonies, each supporting between 5 and 20 million people. We have a population of 93 million humans spread across those worlds. We have a fleet of 300 ships, and we have never forgotten where we came from." "Then why return?" asked. "You survived without us, you built something new, why come back to space that forgot you?" Hayes stepped forward. "Because 6 months ago, our long-range probes detected activity in the former human territories. We found evidence of new settlements, military operations, and he looked directly at enslaved populations." The ambassador stood up. "That is a lie." "That is a fact," replied coldly. He activated his own hologram. Images appeared showing troops forcing alien civilians into labor camps, bombardment of cities that refused to surrender, execution squads. "We tracked your expansion," said. "We analyzed your tactics, and we discovered something interesting. The stellar disaster that destroyed Earth, the one everyone called an accident." He paused for effect. "It was sabotage. Agents infiltrated the engineering project. They corrupted the calculations. They murdered 8 billion humans deliberately." The chamber erupted. Council members shouted questions. The delegation protested loudly, roared his denial. Kate raised her hand. Somehow the simple gesture commanded silence. "We have evidence," she said quietly. "Data cores recovered from Earth's orbital stations. Security footage showing operatives. Communication intercepts. We know what you did. We know why. You feared humanity would become too powerful, so you eliminated us before we could challenge you." "These allegations are baseless," snarled. "Even if true, which they are not, they are 200 years old, ancient history." "Genocide is never ancient history," Kate replied. "But we are not here for revenge. We are here to prevent it from happening to others." She addressed the full council now. "Humanity reclaims the former human territories. Any world, any species threatened by expansion will find sanctuary under Earth's protection. We are not asking the Council's permission for this. We are informing you of our intentions. You cannot simply declare jurisdiction over entire sectors of space," protested. "We can and we do," Kate said. "Those territories were ours. They became unclaimed when we disappeared. Now we have returned and we are reclaiming what was taken from us." "This is an act of aggression," shouted. "This is an act of protection," Tors countered. "How many species have you conquered in the past decade? How many have disappeared into your empire? Someone needs to stand against you. The Council debates while you expand. We will act." Kate looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of various representatives. "Humanity offers alliance to any species who desires it. We offer protection to those who cannot protect themselves. We offer friendship to those who value freedom over domination." She turned to, "The Council can choose to work with us or ignore us, but either way, humanity has returned, and we will not allow what happened to Earth to happen to any other world." With that, the human delegation turned and walked toward the exit. Fletcher and his security team scrambled to escort them, caught off guard by the abrupt departure. As they walked through the corridors, could not help himself. "Admiral, was all of that true? The sabotage, the evidence?" Kate glanced at him. "Every word, Commander. We spent decades investigating Earth's fall. We know exactly what happened, and we know that we're responsible." "What happens now?" asked. The planet Sanctuary 7 looked peaceful from orbit. Green valleys stretched between mountain ranges. Rivers cut through forests that swayed in gentle winds. The colonists had settled here 15 years ago, building farming communities that worked in harmony with the natural environment. Today, that peace was being shattered. Commander Santos stood on the bridge of the destroyer Swift Justice, watching his tactical display with growing anger. 3 warships hung in high orbit over Sanctuary 7, their weapons firing down at the surface. Every few seconds, another blast of plasma turned a farm or village into a crater. "How many civilians down there?" asked his tactical officer. "Approximately 30,000, Lieutenant Aaron Clark replied. "Sensors show they have retreated to underground shelters, but those shelters were not built for sustained bombardment. They will breach within hours." Pulled up the distress call that had brought him here. A elder named Chur, his voice trembling with fear, begging anyone who could hear to help them. They had arrived 3 hours ago, demanding the colony surrender and provide workers for their mining operations. When they refused, the bombardment began. "What is our status?" asked. "We have Swift Justice, plus destroyers Rapid Response, Defender, and the frigate Storm Chaser," his first officer, Lieutenant Jenna Wright, reported. 4 ships total. They have 3 cruisers, all heavier than our vessels. Any response from Prime? Admiral sent acknowledgement of our report. She is not ordering us to stand down. Jenna looked at him carefully. She is also not ordering us to engage. This decision is yours, Commander. Stared at the planet below. 30,000 innocent people being slaughtered because they refused to become slaves. The Council would take weeks to respond if they responded at all. The human fleet was still at Prime, too far away to help in time. 4 human ships against 3 cruisers. The smart move was to observe, record evidence, and wait for reinforcements. The smart move would let those civilians die. Had not survived 200 years on death worlds by making smart moves. All ships combat formation, he ordered. Plot intercept course between the fleet and Sanctuary 7, ready all weapons. Sir Aaron said quietly, we are. Then we better shoot straight, replied. Communications open a channel to the vessels. The activated showing a officer. He was large even for his species, scales dark green and covered in scars. His eyes held the cruel amusement of someone enjoying their work. This is Commander Santos of the United Earth Fleet, announced. You are attacking a civilian population. Cease fire immediately and withdraw from this system. The laughed. This is Captain. These insects refuse to acknowledge authority. We are teaching them the consequences of defiance. This is not your concern, human. I am making it my concern, said. This planet is now under Earth protection. You have one chance to leave peacefully. Leaned forward, his expression shifting from amusement to contempt. 4 small ships dare threaten me. I have 20 vessels under my command, 3 of them here. You are either brave or stupid. I suspect stupid. Last warning, said. Withdraw or face the consequences. I will enjoy mounting your ship's hull on my trophy wall, replied. He cut the transmission. Turned to his crew. Did you all hear that? He called us small. Aaron, when they open fire, I want you to show him how wrong he is. Jenna, coordinate with the other ships. Pattern Delta 7. Pattern Delta 7 confirmed, Jenna replied, sending orders to the other 3 human ships. The human vessels moved into formation, placing themselves directly between the cruisers and the planet. It looked like suicide, 4 smaller ships challenging 3 larger ones. On the surface, families huddled in their shelters, unaware that help had arrived. The ships ceased their bombardment and turned to face the humans. Weapon ports opened along their hulls. 3 cruisers against 4 destroyers that had every advantage. Except one. The humans had spent 2 centuries fighting to survive against impossible odds. Incoming fire, Aaron reported calmly. The ships opened up with everything. Plasma cannons, missile batteries, particle beams, all of it concentrated on the human formation. The barrage was designed to overwhelm and destroy. Shields holding, Aaron said, his voice almost surprised. 92% capacity. Allowed himself a small smile. They were using standard galactic weapons. Those weapons were designed for ship-to-ship combat between civilized species. They were not designed to punch through shields built to withstand the atmospheric storms of Tempest, a world where lightning could vaporize steel. Return fire, ordered. Target their forward shields. Let us see how they handle Death World engineering. The Swift Justice fired its main. The weapon used magnetic coils to accelerate a solid tungsten penetrator to a significant fraction of light speed. The projectile crossed the distance between ships in microseconds. It punched through the lead cruiser's shields like they did not exist. The impact sent shockwaves through the vessel's hull, rupturing armor plating and venting atmosphere. Direct hit, Aaron reported. Their forward shields are down, hull breach on decks 4 through 7. The other 3 human ships fired in sequence. Rapid Response and Defender added there to the barrage. Storm Chaser, smaller and faster, launched plasma torpedoes, weapons designed to burn through the armored hides of predators on another Death World colony. The formation broke apart as their ships tried to evade. But human targeting computers, designed to track hypersonic predators through dense jungle canopies, had no trouble following them. Second cruiser taking heavy damage, Jenna reported. Third cruiser is attempting to flank us. Aaron switched to point defense, ordered. Show them what we learned from fighting insect swarms. The launched missiles, hundreds of them. Against a normal fleet, it would have been overwhelming. Against humans who had defended colonies from swarms of flying predators numbering in the millions, it was almost routine. The human ship's point defense systems activated. Rapid-fire lasers tracked and destroyed incoming missiles with mechanical precision. In 15 seconds, 300 missiles became 300 expanding clouds of debris. "Their third cruiser is getting into position," Jenna warned. "Let him," replied. "Rapid response, defender focus on Cruiser 1, storm chaser with me, we take Cruiser 3. The battle had been going for less than 3 minutes. Already, one cruiser was venting atmosphere and falling out of formation. The second was being systematically dismantled by concentrated fire. The third thought it had a flanking position. Captain's face appeared on the again, no longer amused. "What are you?" he demanded. "Those weapons, those shields, they should not exist." "They exist because we needed them to survive," replied. "You wanted to see what 2 centuries of evolution on Death Worlds produces. You are looking at it." "Cut the transmission. All ships concentrated fire on Cruiser 3. I want it disabled, not destroyed. Aaron, target their engines and weapons. Leave life support intact." The human ships coordinated their attack with practiced efficiency. Rounds shredded the cruiser's engine section. Plasma torpedoes melted weapon emplacements. Point defense lasers took out their communication arrays. In 90 seconds, the cruiser went from a warship to a drifting hulk. "Cruiser 1 is attempting to retreat," Jenna reported. "Disable it," ordered. "Same as Cruiser 3, I want survivors who can report what happened here." The swift Justice and Defender pursued the fleeing ship. It was faster than them, but not by much. And speed meant nothing when fired projectiles at relativistic velocities. 2 shots removed its engines. 3 more took out its weapons. The cruiser went dark, drifting on momentum alone. "Cruiser 2 has surrendered," Aaron announced. "They are powering down weapons and shields." Surveyed the battle space. 3 cruisers, all disabled. One was still mostly intact and had surrendered. The other 2 were crippled and venting air. His own ships had minor shield damage and nothing more. The entire engagement had lasted 7 minutes. "Jenna, get rescue teams ready," ordered. "I want those crews evacuated before their life support fails. Aaron, scan Sanctuary 7. Are the civilians safe?" "The bombardment has stopped," Aaron confirmed. "Shelters are intact, no casualties from the attack." "Good," opened a general channel. "This is Commander Santos to all vessels. Your attack on Sanctuary 7 has failed. Your ships are disabled. We are sending rescue teams to evacuate your crews. You will be held until Council authorities can take custody. This planet is under Earth protection. Tell your superiors what happened here." He turned to Jenna. "Contact the surface, let them know they are safe." As his crew worked to secure the area, allowed himself to relax slightly. They had been overconfident, relying on their size advantage. They had not understood what they faced. 200 years of fighting nightmares had made humans into something more than they used to be. 2 hours later, stood in the underground shelter meeting with the elder Chur. The elderly alien's antennae trembled as he spoke. "You saved us," Chur said simply. "We sent the distress call hopping anyone would hear. We did not expect help, certainly not from humans. We thought your species was extinct." "We get that a lot," replied. He knelt down to Chur's level, making himself less imposing. "We came because no one should have to face bullies alone. We know what it is like to be abandoned when you need help most." "Why risk your ships for strangers?" Chur asked. Thought about Earth, burning 2 centuries ago while the galaxy moved on. He thought about the generation ships, fleeing into the dark with no one to help them. He thought about the first colonists dying on brutal worlds while their distress calls went unanswered. "Because someone should have been there for us," said finally. 200 years ago, when Earth burned, we needed help. No one came. I will not let that happen to anyone else if I can prevent it." Tears leaked from Chur's compound eyes. "Humanity was forgotten, but you did not forget the galaxy." "No," agreed. "We did not forget. We survived. We grew stronger. And we came back to make sure others do not suffer alone like we did." Sergeant Grant approached, her helmet tucked under one arm. "Commander, the survivors are secured. We have transferred them to their least damaged ship under guard. Local are asking if we need anything." Stood up, offering Chur a respectful bow. "We need to establish a defensive satellite news of Sanctuary 7 spread across the galaxy faster than warp travel. Within a day, Every council member knew that 4 human ships had defeated 3 cruisers without taking damage. Within 2 days, the full combat footage was being analyzed by military experts from dozens species. Within 3 days, the Galactic Council summoned both human and representatives to explain themselves. Admiral Kate stood before the council once again. This time, the chamber was packed. Every representative wanted to see what would happen. War Master of the Dominion stood opposite her. He was massive, even for his species, covered in deep red scales that marked him as a veteran of countless battles. His eyes burned with barely contained rage. "The humans attacked our forces without provocation," began, his voice booming through the chamber. "This was an act of war. We demand the Council condemn this aggression and sanction Earth immediately." "Your forces were bombarding a civilian population," Kate replied calmly. "That is not a military operation, that is terrorism." "Those colonists refused legal authority," countered. "We have claimed those territories. They became ours when humanity abandoned them." "Humanity did not abandon anything," Kate said. "We were victims of sabotage committed by agents." She activated a hologram, showing data cores and security footage. "This evidence proves involvement in Earth's destruction. We have shared this data with the Council's Security Division." Ambassador held up his hands. "These are serious accusations. The Council's investigative team is reviewing the evidence. But that is not why we are here today. We are here to address the incident at Sanctuary 7. "There is nothing to address," Kate said. "Commander Santos responded to a distress call from civilians under attack. He defended them. That is what any moral being should do." "He attacked vessels," snarled. "After your captain refused to cease fire on civilians," Kate shot back. "After he threatened to mount Commander Santos's ship on his trophy wall, we have the communication logs. Your captain chose violence. Mine responded appropriately." The representative, soft-spoken but steady, raised a delicate appendage. "I wish to speak. Sanctuary 7 is a colony. We sent the distress call. The humans came when no one else would. They saved 30,000 of my people." He turned to face the assembly. "For that, we are grateful." "The question is not gratitude," another council member interjected. "The question is precedent. If humans can unilaterally intervene wherever they choose, what stops any species from doing the same?" "What stops you now?" Torres asked from behind Kate. "They have been expanding aggressively for years. They have attacked civilian populations on dozens of worlds. Where was the Council then?" Uncomfortable silence filled the chamber. Several representatives looked away. They knew it was true. The Council had debated, discussed, and delayed while they expanded. "The Council moves slowly," admitted. "We require consensus, investigation, diplomatic process. It takes time." "And in that time, people die," Kate said quietly. "We do not have the luxury of time. We learned that lesson when Earth burned and no one came to help." Slammed his fist on the podium. "Enough of this self-righteous posturing. You survived. Good for you. That does not give you authority to interfere in operations." "Actually, it does." Hayes stepped forward, carrying a data pad. "According to Council Charter, subsection 47, any spacefaring species has the right to offer protection to threatened populations. Sanctuary 7 requested aid. We provided it. Legally, we are in the clear." "You attack our ships and call it legal," growled. "Your ships were committing war crimes," replied. "The Charter is clear on that too." The debate continued for hours. The Council was split into factions. Some supported humanity's actions. Others feared setting a precedent of military intervention. The delegation demanded punishment. The human delegation stood firm. Finally called for a vote. The resolution was simple: condemn the human intervention or acknowledge their right to protect civilians. The vote was close, but it passed. By a margin of 12 votes, the Council acknowledged that humanity had acted within their rights. Stood slowly, his massive frame radiating menace. "Very well, the Council has spoken, but know this, humans, you have made an enemy today. The Dominion does not forget insults." He turned to leave, his delegation following. Kate watched him go without expression. When the chamber doors closed, she turned to, "That was a threat." "Yes," agreed. "And I fear it was not an empty one. Our intelligence suggests they are mobilizing additional forces. They may be preparing for a larger offensive." "Let them come," Kate said. "We are ready." Back aboard the flagship Valiant, Kate convened her senior staff. The war room was crowded with officers, all waiting to hear her assessment. "They are not going to back down," Kate began without preamble. "As much as promised retaliation. Lisa, what is your analysis?" Lisa Park brought up strategic displays. "Our intelligence network has been monitoring fleet movements. They are pulling ships from across their empire. Current estimates suggest they are assembling between 400 and 500 warships." A murmur ran through the room. 500 ships was more than double the entire human fleet. "They are not just planning to push us out of the frontier," Lisa continued. "They are planning to crush us completely, show the galaxy what happens when you oppose them." "Where will they attack?" Captain Hayes asked. "Unknown," Lisa admitted. "They could hit our patrol routes trying to pick off isolated ships. They could attack the frontier worlds we are protecting. Or," she paused, highlighting Prime on the display, "they could do something unexpected." "Prime," Kate said, understanding immediately. "They attack the Council itself." "It makes strategic sense," agreed. "If they destroy the Council leadership, they can blame it on us. Say that humanity came back as warmongers. The galaxy turns against us and the position themselves as the ones restoring order." Commander Fletcher, attending remotely from Prime, confirmed, "Our sources indicate increased intelligence activity around the station. They are mapping defenses, tracking patrol patterns." Kate studied the display showing Prime. The Council, seat of galactic government, home to millions. If it fell, the chaos would be catastrophic. "What are our defensive capabilities?" she asked. "We have 247 combat-ready ships," Lieutenant Commander Austin Palmer reported. "Against 500 vessels, even with our technological advantages, the math is bad." "The Council has its own defense fleet," Jenna Wright pointed out. 50 ships, said. "Designed for peacekeeping, not warfare. They would not last 10 minutes against a determined assault." The room fell quiet. The numbers were clear. If they attacked with their full force, humanity could not stop them, not alone. "We need allies," Torres said. "The Empire has military strength. The Frontier Alliance has numbers, even the, if given weapons and training, could contribute." "The Council just voted to acknowledge our actions," Kate said. "But that does not mean they trust us enough to fight alongside us. Many of them still fear us." "Then we need to give them a reason to trust us," Lisa suggested. Kate nodded slowly. "We divide the fleet. Austin, you take the 5th Squadron and establish a defensive perimeter around the frontier refugee colonies. Make sure they know we are protecting them. You take the 7th Squadron and start joint patrols with any Council species willing to work with us. Build relationships. Show them we are not the enemy." "What about the main fleet?" asked. "We stay mobile," Kate decided. "Ready to respond wherever the strike. We cannot be everywhere, but we can be where we are needed most." As the meeting continued, planning defensive positions and response protocols, a priority message came through. Kate took it privately. It was from Commander Gregg at the Station Hope, humanity's new forward operating base. "Admiral, we have a situation. Refugees are arriving faster than we can process them. Civilians, even some defectors. Word is spreading that humans offer protection. We are being overwhelmed." Kate made a quick decision. "Accept them all. Find space, even if we have to build temporary habitats. These people are fleeing oppression. We do not turn them away." "Yes, Admiral," Gregg replied. "Also, we have an unexpected visitor, Ambassador Vex from the Frontier Alliance. He requests a private meeting with you." Kate was surprised. Vex coming to a human station, not requesting Kate come to him, was significant. "Tell him I will meet with him immediately." 3 hours later, Kate sat across from Vex in a small conference room. The Frontier Alliance ambassador was a tall, thin being with silver skin and large, dark eyes. He spoke directly. "The Alliance wants to support you," Vex said. "Officially, we cannot. Our charter binds us to Council neutrality. But unofficially, many of our members believe you are doing what should have been done years ago." "What are you offering?" Kate asked. "Intelligence," Vex replied. "We have sources inside space. We can give you warning of their movements. We can provide supply routes. And if it comes to open war, we can delay Council votes that would restrict your operations." "In exchange for what?" "Protection for our member species," Vex said simply. "The Frontier Alliance represents smaller, weaker civilizations. We have always been vulnerable to predators like the..." If you are truly committed to protecting the innocent, we want that protection. Kate considered this. An alliance with the Frontier Coalition would give humanity legitimacy and support. It would also paint a larger target on their backs. We accept, Kate decided. Share your intelligence. We will coordinate our patrol routes to cover your member worlds. Vex stood and offered the traditional gesture of alliance, pressing his palm to Kate's. My people told me humans were extinct. I am glad they were wrong. The galaxy needs guardians, and you seem determined to fill that role. After Vex left, Kate stood at the observation window looking out at the human fleet. 247 ships against 500. Bad odds, but humanity had survived worse. Her communicator chimed. His voice came through. Admiral, we just received confirmation. A scout ship detected a massive fleet massing at the border. 512 ships, all armed for war, and they are not heading for the frontier. Let me guess, Kate said quietly. Prime. How did you know? Because it is what I would do if I wanted to destroy my enemy's credibility and seize power in the chaos that followed. Kate turned from the window. Assemble the fleet. We are going to Prime. To defend the council that forgot us? Asked. To defend innocent lives, Kate corrected. The council made mistakes, but the millions of civilians on Prime did nothing wrong. If we let them die to prove a point, we become what they accuse us of being. It is a trap, warned. They want us to commit our forces to defend the station. They can destroy us in one battle. I know, Kate agreed. But we do not have a choice. This is who we are. We survived 2 centuries of hell not so we could stand by and watch others suffer. We survived so we could be strong enough to help. She broadcast to the entire fleet. This is Admiral. We have confirmation that they are planning an attack on Prime. Their goal is to destroy the council and blame it on us. We are going to stop them. She paused. I will not lie to you. The odds are bad. They outnumber us more than 2 to 1. Some of you will not survive this battle, but if we do not fight, millions of innocents will die. That is not acceptable. Across the fleet, human crews prepared for war. They checked weapons, reinforced shields, and the human fleet arrived at Prime 12 hours before the... It was not much time, but it was enough. Admiral Kate stood on the bridge of the Valiant, coordinating with her captains. Austin, position your squadron on the northern approach. Take the southern vector. You have the main battle line with me. The human ships spread out in a defensive formation around the massive space station. 247 vessels against the approaching storm. On Prime itself, millions of civilians went about their daily lives, unaware of what was coming. Ambassador contacted Kate from the council chamber. His 4 arms trembled slightly as he spoke. Admiral, our sensors confirm the fleet. 512 warships all heading directly for us. Why would they attack the council? To seize power, Kate replied, and to frame us for it. After we are destroyed defending you, they will claim we were the aggressors. They will position themselves as the heroes who saved the council. But you are here, said. You came to defend us even knowing it is a trap. We came to protect innocent lives, Kate corrected. Your politics are secondary. Was quiet for a moment. Then he said, I have contacted the other council members. We are evacuating non-essential personnel, but most will not make it off the station in time. Then we make sure they do not need to evacuate, Kate said firmly. How many ships does your defense fleet have ready? 47, admitted. They are moving into position now, but Admiral, they are not warships. They are patrol vessels and peacekeepers. Every ship helps, Kate replied. Have them fall in with my formations. We will coordinate fire. As the minutes ticked down, Kate reviewed her tactical display. The fleet was massive, a wall of metal and weapons bearing down on them. But wars were not won by numbers alone. They were won by determination, strategy, and the will to sacrifice for others. Admiral, Lisa Park called from the science station. I am detecting additional warp signatures, multiple sources coming from different vectors. Kate's stomach tightened. Reinforcements for the would doom them. How many? Lisa worked her console frantically. 50 ships dropping out of warp on our eastern flank. Configuration matches Empire military vessels. On the sleek silver ships emerged from warp space. They immediately took up defensive positions alongside the human fleet. A communication channel opened, showing Ambassador standing on what appeared to be a warship's bridge. Admiral said, now wearing military insignia. I may be a diplomat, but I was an admiral before I joined the council. The Empire stands with Earth. Kate felt a surge of hope. Ambassador, you did not have authorization for this. I am taking full responsibility, replied. My people voted. 62% supported intervention. The fleet is at your disposal. Before Kate could respond, more ships appeared. The Frontier Alliance arrived with 40 vessels, then smaller contingencies from a dozen other species. Even the came, their unarmed transports hanging back but broadcasting messages of support. Final count, Lisa reported, her voice filled with wonder. We have 423 ships total, human, Frontier Alliance, and volunteers from 18 other species. Still outnumbered, observed, but not by much. Kate opened a channel to all Allied ships. This is Admiral to all vessels. Thank you for standing with us. Today we fight not as separate species but as one unified force. We fight for the innocent. We fight for those who cannot fight for themselves, and we show that bullies will always face resistance. Across the fleet, crews responded with acknowledgement. Humans working alongside, standing with species they had never met. For the first time in galactic history, a true coalition had formed not through council bureaucracy, but through shared values. The fleet dropped out of warp. 512 warships appeared at the system's edge, a terrifying display of military power. At their center was a massive dreadnought, easily 3 times the size of any other vessel. On its bridge stood War Master. Prime's voice boomed across all channels. You have 1 hour to surrender, disband your council, acknowledge supremacy, or we will destroy you. Kate opened her own channel, broadcasting to both thee and the Allied fleet. This is Admiral Kate. Prime is under our protection. You want this station? You go through us first. His face appeared on the... When he saw the assembled fleet, his expression shifted from confidence to surprise to rage. Impossible. How did you gather so many ships? We asked for help, Kate replied simply. And people who value freedom answered, you should try it sometime. It does not matter, snarled. We still outnumber you. We will crush you all. Then stop talking and try, Kate said coldly. She cut the transmission. To her fleet, she ordered all ships combat formation, hold the line, make every shot count. The fleet surged forward. 500 ships, weapons charging, shields at maximum. They came in a wedge formation, designed to punch through the defensive line and reach the station. The Allied fleet held position. Human ships at the center, on the flanks, smaller vessels providing support. They had the advantage of position and preparation. They had numbers and momentum. The battle began. The first exchange of fire lit up space like a supernova. Plasma, rounds, missiles, and energy beams crossed the void in both directions. The human ship's shields, designed for death world conditions, absorbed hits that would have crippled normal vessels. The ships moved with elegant precision, their energy weapons cutting through armor. Northern sector taking heavy fire, Austin Palmer reported from his squadron. We are holding, but barely. Reinforcing with Squadron 7, responded, moving her ships to support. The battle was chaos. Ships maneuvered at speeds that would crush unprotected crews. Weapons fire filled every screen. Explosions bloomed as ships on both sides took critical damage. Fletcher, commanding a destroyer from Prime's local defense, found himself facing 3 cruisers. His ship was, but he had learned from the humans. He used the station's gravity well to slingshot around, coming up beneath the formation and firing directly into their vulnerable engine sections. 1 cruiser exploded, another went dark, the third limped away, trailing debris. Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out. Human precision met discipline. Frontier Alliance ships supported with electronic warfare. Even the unarmed transports helped, using their sensors to feed targeting data to the warships. But they were relentless. For every ship they lost, they pushed forward. Dreadnought carved through the defensive line like a blade, its massive weapons overwhelming shields through sheer power. The Dreadnought is breaking through, warned. If it reaches the station, it can bombard Prime directly. All ships focus fire on that Dreadnought, Kate ordered. But even concentrated fire seemed to do little damage to its heavy shields. Then Grant had an idea. She commanded the assault carrier Fury, which held Marines trained for boarding actions. Admiral, request permission to board that Dreadnought. If we can take out its shield generators from inside, your ships can destroy it. Kate hesitated. Boarding a Dreadnought in the middle of a battle was insane. but so was everything else they had done. "Permission granted," Kate said. "But if you cannot take those shields down in 10 minutes, get your people out. I will not lose you on a suicide run." "Understood, Admiral," replied, Fury moving to attack position. The assault carrier was small and fast. It dodged through the battle, taking hits on its reinforced hull. Point Defense tried to shoot it down, but human armor held. The Fury slammed into the dreadnought's hull, magnetic clamps engaging. Airlocks aligned. Led 40 Marines through the breach. They cut through the outer hull with plasma torches and poured into the ship. The interior was a maze of corridors designed for beings twice human size. The Marines moved fast, following directions toward the shield generator room. Soldiers met them. The corridor erupted in gunfire. But humans trained on death worlds who had fought predators in the dark, who had survived against impossible odds, did not break. They advanced through the fire, taking cover, returning shots with precision. Through a breaching charge on the shield generator room door, the explosion cleared the entrance. Her Marines rushed in, facing a dozen engineers and security. The fight was brutal and close, but humans had one advantage. They were smaller, faster, and far more desperate. 5 minutes after boarding, reached the main shield controls. She placed a series of explosives on the generator cores. "Fury, we are in position, detonating in 30 seconds. All personnel fall back to the breach." The Marines ran, fighting their way back through the corridors. Reinforcements tried to stop them, but explosions rocked the ship as the charges detonated. The shield generators exploded in a chain reaction, sending power surges through the dreadnought systems. "Their shields are down," Lisa Park announced. "The dreadnought is vulnerable." Kate did not hesitate. "All ships target that dreadnought, maximum firepower." The Allied fleet concentrated everything on its flagship. Plasma cannons, missiles, energy beams, all of it hammered into the unshielded hull. The dreadnought's armor held for precious seconds, then began to fail. Sections exploded. Atmosphere vented. The massive ship started to break apart. On the bridge, watched his ship die around him. He activated the emergency escape protocol, but it was too late. The dreadnought's reactor went critical. The explosion was visible from Prime's surface, a brief second sun in the sky. With their flagship destroyed and their war master dead, the fleet's coordination collapsed. Individual captains made individual decisions. Some tried to press the attack. Others retreated. The formation that had seemed so unstoppable fell into chaos. Kate saw the opening. All ships advanced, drive them back. The Allied fleet surged forward. Ships that had been defending now became the attackers. The leaderless and disorganized broke. The retreat became a rout. Ships fled into warp space, abandoning their damaged companions. Within an hour of death, the battle was over. The fleet had been destroyed or scattered. Prime was safe. The cost had been high. 37 human ships destroyed, 22 vessels lost, dozens more from the other Allied species, thousands of crew members dead, but they had won. On Prime, the council chambers filled again. This time there was no debate. Ambassador, still in his military uniform, stood with Kate before the assembly. 200 years ago, began, humanity disappeared from our galaxy. We believed them extinct. We were wrong. They survived against impossible odds, and when they returned, we feared them. We questioned them. We doubted them. He turned to face Kate. Today, they saved us. They came to our defense knowing it might mean their own destruction. They stood between us and annihilation. And they brought together species who have never worked together before, united by a simple principle: protect the innocent. The council chamber was silent. Every representative watched. "Humanity," continued, "we failed you once. We will not make that mistake again. On behalf of the Galactic Council, I formally invite Earth to take its place among us. Not as the species you were, but as the civilization you have become." Kate stepped forward. "We accept. But we accept with conditions. We will not be just another vote in endless debates. We will act when innocents are threatened. We will protect those who cannot protect themselves. And we will hold this council to the same standard." "Agreed," said. Other council members voiced their support. Even species that had opposed humanity before now nodded in acknowledgement. The vote was unanimous. Humanity rejoined the galactic community. Months later, on the frontier world of New Terra, human children learned in schools about the Battle of Prime. They learned about the sacrifice, the courage, and the unity that had saved millions. They learned that strength was not about domination, but protection. Commander Santos oversaw construction of a joint defense station above Sanctuary 7. Human and engineers worked side by side. The station would protect not just one world, but an entire sector. Admiral Kate stood in Earth's embassy on Prime, looking out at the shipyards where human vessels patrolled alongside craft from a dozen species. The galaxy had forgotten them. The galaxy had learned its mistake. Lisa Park entered with news. Admiral, our deep space probes detected signals. There are more lost human colonies out there, settlements we did not know survived. They are still alone, still isolated. Kate smiled. Then we bring them home, all of them. The mission continued. Humanity had returned from extinction. They had proven themselves as protectors, as warriors, as friends. The scars of Earth's loss would never fully heal. But from that tragedy had come something stronger. A civilization that would never abandon those in need. A people who understood the value of life because they had nearly lost their own. Guardians who stood in the dark so others could live in the light. The galaxy had thought humanity extinct. They had emerged from 2 centuries of survival stronger, wiser, and more determined. They were no longer the species that had been forgotten. They were the species the galaxy would never forget again. Wrote final messages to loved ones on the colony worlds. They knew what was coming. They knew they might die. But they also knew they were doing the right thing. And for humans who had spent 2 centuries fighting impossible odds, that was enough. Around this planet, and we should coordinate with the local government about permanent protection. You would stay? Chur asked, hope in his voice. We will leave a patrol ship, confirmed. And if they come back, they will find the entire human fleet waiting for them. As returned to his shuttle, he looked up at the sky where his ships waited. 4 vessels against 3, and they had won without a single casualty. It was a small victory in what would likely become a larger conflict. But it sent a message. Humanity was back, and they stood with the weak against the strong, with the innocent against the cruel. The galaxy had forgotten them for 2 centuries. The galaxy was about to remember them for very different reasons. Kate smiled grimly. Now we see if the galaxy has learned anything in 200 years. We see if they stand with us or against us. She paused at the shuttle bay door. And if they stand against us, Commander, we show them what 2 centuries of survival on Death Worlds taught us. The human delegation boarded their shuttle, watched it depart, returning to the fleet that waited at the system's edge. Around him, his fellow security officers muttered nervously. The galaxy had thought humanity extinct. They had been wrong. And now humanity was back, armed, organized, and ready for war. Had a feeling the peaceful days were over. The transmission ended. The screens went dark. But outside, visible through the chamber's massive windows, 3 human warships detached from the fleet and began their approach to Prime. Ambassador watched them come. Somewhere in the back of his mind, a thought formed. The galaxy had spent 200 years believing humanity was gone. The galaxy had been wrong. And now, as those ships drew closer, he wondered what other assumptions they had made that were about to be proven false. The humans had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same.